Hey guys, Derek Lambert here, 3.5 years clean off all substances. I want to let you guys know, you know what my niche is. I said this in the last video that I did where Ashton talks about how he went down to Mexico just to find his substances. Here in this video, you're going to hear my mother-in-law, not my stepmom mother-in-law. For those of you who saw my day 5 video, I made a mistake and said stepmom. I meant mother-in-law. And I think it's funny because I was coming off heroin, so I made a small mistake and I was just like, I'm repercussions till this day based off that statement. Her story is really interesting. I hope you guys enjoy this because this goes to show you she was raised good and in a household like she was, and you get to really hear her story. It's like, dang, addiction's no joke. I hope you guys like this. If you do, like, subscribe, check the channel out. I hope you guys enjoy it. And this is my mother-in-law telling her part of her story with addiction. There is hope, just so you know, it can be done. And we do have a Discord where you can come talk to people if you need help talking through some of this addiction and whatnot, or just needing someone, because a support group works better. I've said it before, one string can be snapped, 1,000 strings can lift a whole car. All right, Mama. So if you could tell us from birth onward a little bit about you and your life with addiction, if you will, starting young and working later on, people that were addicted, that influenced you, that were around you, and maybe even your own demons along the way.
Okay, well, I was raised by a good family. Didn't have any problems with addiction myself until I was about 32. My husband, my kid's father, your father-in-law, did have problems with addiction prior to us meeting and throughout our marriage. During my 20s, when I had Ryan and two of her siblings, not the youngest one yet, he was on crystal meth, cocaine, and who knows what else, and drinking all the time. At that point, I'd never drank, never had addiction problems, didn't smoke cigarettes, nothing like that, but he did all those things. Then we had an incident where I was in college. I went to work one night as a bartender. That's how we made extra money to support the 3 children and for me to go to college. And I came home and there was a note on the bed, a rambling note, just going on and on. He loved me, he hated me, he wanted to kill himself, he wanted to kill me. The kids were asleep in the bedroom, and the other 2 bedrooms in the next, down the hallway. I tried to lay down because I had an 8 o'clock class in college in the morning. So I tried to lay down to get a little bit of sleep. It was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning because I was done bartending. And at that point, he jumped up from the foot of the bed. I just kind of ignored his rambling note. Jumped up from the foot of the bed, grabbed a M1 semi-automatic out of the closet and said he was going to commit suicide. Back then, we had a waterbed, and he was standing at the back of the waterbed, and I could tell by the look in his eyes that he was completely serious. I had children in the other room, and his look scared me. He put the gun underneath his chin, and at that point, I jumped off the waterbed just in time, first instinct, to cover up the gun as he pulled the trigger. Pulled the gun away as he pulled the trigger, blew my finger off, which is, of course, a bone graft now from my hip. And I ended up in the hospital for 7 days. He ended up in the hospital for maybe 3, which I thought was completely unfair because he was in the psych ward for 3 days and I was in the hospital for 7. So I had a bone graft, a bone taken out of my hip and put into my finger, which they had to fuse, so I have no I know that looks kind of graphic, but I have no mobility, and this was 30 years ago. Was it? No, because Ryan's, 28? So it was about 25 years ago. So this happened about 26 years ago. So that was my first encounter with really substance abuse.
Did you yourself use drugs then, or is it blurry of when you, do you know when you started using drugs? Because drinking was always part of it, right? But in your life? Really?
No.
Tell us how.
Not until I was 32.
Okay, so go into like any and all substances, mind-altering substances that you, when that started, and maybe you can progress quick if you want.
At 32 is when I started smoking cigarettes and drinking, because I was working at mental health at the time. And I was getting a divorce from a different husband, but I was working at mental health. The lady in the office next to me smoked, so we would go out for smoke breaks, and I'd just go out there with her, and she'd say, hey, and one day I just said, hey, let me have one of your cigarettes. So then I started smoking. After that, it was since I went through the divorce, and my husband and I, the one I was divorcing at that time, he did not drink at all. And so I started on a road to, I'm going to go out, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to see people, I'm going to make a new life, I'm going to do other things. That's when the drinking started. No problem with pills, no problem with anything. Until I got really, really sick. That's when you and Ryan were together. I got really, really sick with a bad kidney infection. And I had to go to the hospital and stay for a month. And during that hospitalization, I was on Percocet, morphine, all kinds of things like that. Took the medicine home. I became addicted to Percocet. Bottom line. Then fell into the situation where I was having to find Percocet off the street, which we know who I ended up in a relationship with was the person that was dealing me Percocets, and it went from there. It became a nasty, nasty battle with two separate methadone treatment programs for myself. Luckily, I never got into heroin or shooting heroin or anything like that. I feel very fortunate on that, but the methadone use to me seemed just as debilitating as the Percocet use, except for the fact that I didn't have to chase it all the time. So my whole life when I was doing the Percocets was all about chasing. All day long. I couldn't even hold down a job because all day long my phone was going off. 5's on deck, 10's on deck. So it's that chase. When I got on methadone, I felt a little bit more like I had a little bit of my life back, but I was still addicted. So finally, the second time after my treatment, I finally was able to just say, I'm going to wean myself down. After I do that, I'm never going back. And it took about 30 days of feeling really, 7 days of feeling really crappy, to like flu-like symptoms, diarrhea, throwing up, achiness all over, insomnia. It took me about 7 days, and then 28 days seemed to be the magical mark. 28 days, I suddenly had my energy back. I felt like a person again. I felt like I had my life back on track. But the thing is that, yes, still you do feel like, God, I sure would like to have a Percocet. And I'm not going to lie to you. I've taken a half of a 5 here and there What did it do for me? Made me sick. Gave me a horrible headache. Even during that time, I got on Suboxone for a little bit. And I got down to the little Suboxone strips that are maybe about that big. I got down to a little tiny strip about about the size of a fingernail. People were saying, "Why are you even doing Suboxone anymore? You're barely taking a sliver." And I was like, I thought I had to have it. Then one day I took some, and I took a little bit more than a tiny, tiny sliver, and I got this, what I used to call a Suboxone headache. And I got sick, and I threw up, not just from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon like I had done in the past, but I threw up from like 8 o'clock in the morning till like 2 o'clock the following morning. And I was like, I'm done. Not doing it anymore. I don't care if I go through withdrawals. I didn't go through withdrawals, and it was way better than throwing up all day long. So that's kind of my story.
Wow. So you're no longer living like that at this point. So
No.
how's life now that you aren't taking the painkillers, on the methadone, taking the Suboxone? Now, what I mean by that is I get your body can't physically even handle what you used to be able to handle. So now but how is life now that you're not chasing that dragon, as they call?
Oh, it's way better. You have a life. You can do the things you want to do. When you are on methadone or you're chasing pills, you can't go on vacation. You can't go to Myrtle Beach. You can't go see a family friend or a family member in a different state because you have no contacts. You have no connects. You can't take it on the plane with you. It's very hard to try to find methadone dosing as guest dosing somewhere else. So your life it's almost like having a dog that you can't put into a kennel. You're the dog, and you can't leave that kennel because you have to be right there to get fed. That's the only way you can get fed, and being fed is your drugs. And you can't leave your immediate environment for anything. Not for a weekend away with your wife. Not for a weekend away with your husband. You can't do it. You are stuck. You are stuck chasing, dosing. It's better to get off all of it. Just stop.
And you found new habits. You found so, and this is my personal experience, is that we're all addicts to some degree.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You taught me this. In fact, a lot of people know that I got my first Percocet when I had a headache at the house, and
Right.
you didn't have Tylenol. You gave me what you had. We didn't know any better. We learned.
Right.
However, you've now shifted. You don't go to 12-step. You
No.
don't do in AA. You're not knocking it. You just haven't done it. So my thing is this: now that you don't use those things, you're not stuck, trapped, doing that, chasing the dragon. Have you found new habits, new hobbies, maybe animals, maybe things that you do that you put your addiction into rather than the drug?
Well, yeah, of course, because you've got to find something to do with your time. Reading, watching ID channel so I can learn how to kill people. That's not really true. Well, actually it probably is, but grandkids, babysitting, just being happy and enjoying not having to feel the chase. I'm too old to have to chase anymore. I'm not doing it. And so this is the best way to go. Yes, I have aches and pains every day. Every single day. And I think, gosh, I didn't used to have aches and pains when I was on Percocet, but I was also 10 years younger. So now I take arthritis or a leave, and it helps. And I just get through my days like that. Unfortunately, I'm not like your mom. I don't get out and exercise every day. I wish I did, but I don't. But that's what she does, and that's what keeps her young and going. Maybe I'll develop that at some point, but not right now.
Hey guys, appreciate y'all checking this out. I hope you liked it. That's my mother-in-law. She's been through a lot in her entire life, and you got to see a lot of the dark, but you see how she began to put her mind to different things and committed to it. I've heard a lot of people with different stories, and that's kind of the goal of this video, as well as many other videos that I produce, is giving you other people's perception and their own experience of how things happened for them. One man's drug may not work for another. Another person's drug may not work for them. So it's all about getting people educated, knowing the differences, and also being able to relate in any way, shape, or form you can. That's how I personally have gotten to where I am today. I love you guys. Check us out in the Discord and the description. Peace.